Tell me, free spirit, have you ever felt the curse of seeing the world too clearly? Have you ever found yourself silent in a banal conversation, not out of arrogance, but because you realized that everything there was noise to avoid the real, to avoid thinking? Have you ever looked into the eyes of those around you and seen fear, not of you as a person, but of what you represent, the fear of living consciousness? Then listen, because this is for you. You who woke up too early in this sleepwalking world, you who walk among men like a stranger in a decaying theater, where everyone knows their lines except you. No, you are not weird, you are precocious, and that is scary. Being truly intelligent is not just about mastering facts, quoting books, solving equations, or impressing people. That is librarian vanity. True intelligence is rebellious. It is a wild, creative, destructive force. It doesn't just see what is, it sees what could be, and that's exactly why it's scary, because it doesn't bow down to what exists. It questions, corrodes, reconfigures, and society, my friend, was built on the illusion that things are the way they are, and that they should stay that way. It thrives on conventions, on repetition, on narratives that everyone accepts because it's easier, more comfortable, safer. But you are a threat, because you see too much. You ask too many questions. You don't fit in. Do you know what scares the herd the most? It's not the criminal. It's not the tyrant. It's the thinker. It's the free man. The criminal still obeys common passions. The thinker does not. He follows a different beat. And where there is freedom, there is unpredictability. And where there is unpredictability, there is fear. That is why the truly intelligent have always been isolated, ridiculed, persecuted, because they challenge the order of things. They reveal that the emperor has no clothes, that the dominant values are conventions, that morality is an invention of the weak, that faith is a refuge for the fearful, that truth is a prostitute with 1,000 faces. They show that nothing is guaranteed, and that everything can be different, and this is unbearable for trained minds. Yes, free spirit, the intelligent are frightening, because they have the power to undo the world with an idea. A single idea can dissolve centuries of tradition. A true question can bring down empires of certainty. An honest sentence can set fire to an entire culture of appearances. That is what you are, an arsonist of illusions, a pyromaniac of consciousness. But it must be understood, intelligence alone is not enough. There are many cowardly smart people, many tamed geniuses, many philosophers who have become watchdogs of the system. The intelligence that frightens society is the one that dares, that goes beyond, that breaks through. That is why, when I speak of intelligence, I am not speaking of the technical mind. I am speaking of the rebellious conscience, of those who, like Zarathustra, come down from the mountain not to teach, but to provoke, to destroy idols, to laugh at saints, to spit on the mask of morality, to shout in the marketplace that values are dead. That is dangerous, that is unbearable, and that is why you are hated. And that hatred comes disguised. They will not call you a threat. They will call you arrogant, cold, difficult, antisocial. They will diagnose you with labels. They will recommend therapy. They will try to reduce your depth to a personal flaw. They will medicalize your lucidity, because they cannot stand that you do not want what they want, that you do not desire what they desire, that you are not moved by their charades. And yet, they watch you, they copy you, they envy you, because deep down, very deep down, they know you are real. And everything that is real has a power that masks will never have. You are the mirror that reveals the deformity of their souls, and that is why they want to break you. But don't forget, this is an honor. Rejection by the herd is the seal of your authenticity. Don't regret being misunderstood, being understood too well. The fate of the lucid is loneliness, but it is a majestic loneliness. It is the loneliness of the high mountains. It is the loneliness of Prometheus, of Socrates, of Spinoza, of Nietzsche. It is the loneliness of those who dared to think for themselves. Do you want comfort? Become a priest. Do you want acceptance? Become a clown. But if you want truth, prepare to be an outcast, an exile, a demon, because the truth is always inconvenient. It does not console, it disturbs, it does not caress, it crushes. And you, if you are worthy of it, will have to bear its weight. But do not be afraid, because that weight is what forges the strong. It is in crushing that diamonds are born. It is in exclusion that freedom is born. It is in contempt that the Creator is born, because what you lose in affection, you gain in lucidity, and there is no greater good than seeing with your own eyes. Society does not want you to think, it wants you to repeat. It wants to educate you to be useful, not to be free. It rewards you for obeying, not for creating. That is why the intelligent, the true, are not promoted, they are forgotten. But it does not matter, because they don't want the spotlight, they want the abyss. And you, if you are one of them, must learn to love the abyss, to dance on the edge of nothingness, to smile in the midst of the fall. That is lucidity. That is freedom. That is danger. Now I ask you, traveler, how much of your anguish comes from your clarity? How much of your pain comes from seeing what others don't see? How many times have you been punished for speaking the truth? How many times have you had to keep quiet so as not to be burned? That is the mark of a free spirit. The pain of not fitting in, the discomfort of not belonging, but also the glory of not lying, the lightness of not betraying yourself, the pleasure of walking on your own 2 feet, even if they bleed. If you feel this, comment below with one word, exiled, and we will know that there are still those among us who, even when crushed, refuse to kneel. You ask yourself, why do intelligent people scare us? But you should first ask, what is intelligence, and why is it as rare as it is feared? For intelligence, in my language, is not the accumulation of data, nor the cleverness of technocrats. It is the nose of the metaphysical hunter. It is the brutal sensitivity of the spirit that sees the guts behind the veils. It is the courage to say no to what everyone else says yes to. Intelligence is a form of lost innocence. It sees where others believe. It doubts where others bow down. It questions the foundations that sustain morality, religion, affection, and self-esteem. And that is unbearable. Because men do not want truth, they want rest. The truth is acidic. It corrodes the structure. It is only useful to those who prefer freedom to peace. Now, what is the real terror of society? That someone will reveal that its morality is an invention, that its justice is convenience, that its culture is distraction, that its religion is anesthesia, and that its love is fear disguised as affection. Do you really think that society values lucidity? No, it values conformity disguised as virtue. Intelligence is welcome as long as it serves, as long as it flatters, as long as it entertains. But when it begins to question, when it becomes a hammer and not a mirror, it becomes dangerous. That is why the lucid mind must know the genealogy of morality. Yes, this is the decisive point. True intelligence is not born with questions, but with suspicions. It does not just want to understand how the world works, but why it works that way, and who has an interest in keeping it that way. It sniffs out the power hidden in values. It realizes that all morality is a domestication of instincts, that all virtue is a denial of life, that every duty is a leash placed by someone weaker but more cunning. And who is that someone? It is the priest, the moralist, the educator of the flock, the apostle of renunciation, the therapist of conformity. It is the resentful. Yes, society is organized by those who do not have the strength to live fully, so they invent values that punish the living. True intelligence discovers this too soon, and that is why it is treated as heresy. It sees that morality was not born of love, but of impotence. That pity is just a disguised form of control. That compassion, that prostitute of the modern soul, is the bond that binds the powerful. The intelligent frighten because they say, no, I do not accept this farce. They say, this God was invented by slaves. They say, this love is neediness. They say, this pain is a choice. They say, this hope is an escape. They break the spells. They tear the veils. And once you see, there is no turning back. But beware, the intelligent spirit that sees too much and cannot bear what it sees becomes nihilistic. It falls into the abyss of nothing makes sense. It becomes a bitter unbeliever, a disillusioned aesthete, a chronic critic. This is the fate of those who see but do not have the strength to affirm. It is the decline of intelligence. It is the shadow of what could have been a creator. You must choose. Either become a resentful, lucid person or a lucid creator. Either curse the world or rebuild it with new values. What defines the value of intelligence is not its clairvoyance, but its power. The question is not, what do you see, but what do you do with what you see? Can you bear the truth? Can you dance with it? You see, Society is a great strategy for protecting itself against the strong. It transforms the unusual into pathology, the genius into dysfunction, the rebellious into illness. This is no accident. It is the evolutionary strategy of the herd. The herd fears the wolf, not for its violence, but for its freedom. The wolf does not need the approval of others. It walks alone. It hunts its own food. It dies standing up. The intelligent man is a wolf among sheep, and the sheep do not know what to do with him, so they surround him, accuse him, marginalize him, excommunicate him, in the name of good health, normality. The herd cannot stand what escapes its logic. It needs everyone to follow the same rhythm, love the same things, hate the same enemies, make the same choices. The different is an affront. The authentic is a threat. But you, traveler, were not born to please. You were born to create. And before you can create, you must destroy. Destroy the false gods, the moral idols, the poisoned affections, the inherited certainties. True intelligence is iconoclastic. It begins with a no, but it must end with a yes. Do you think your pain is a defect? That your loneliness is failure? That your fatigue is illness? No, that is the price of lucidity. That is the friction of a soul that does not fit into any mold, that needs to be invented. You are being torn from the world of others to create your own. It hurts, but it is necessary. And so I ask you, in the middle of the journey, why do you try to adapt to a world that you clearly see as false? Why do you keep pretending that the absurdity of those who live for convenience does not affect you? Why do you continue to accept compliments from people you secretly despise? Why do you still try to prove your worth to a society that fears your freedom? Why, knowing what you know, do you feel guilty for not being the same? Why are you afraid to be who you are? These questions are your mirror. Look, answer, feel the discomfort. Only from there can rebirth come, because intelligence, when transformed into strength, becomes creation. You don't need to destroy the world. You need to build one that is worthy of you. And that starts now. If this blade cut deep, write in the comments, Creator, so that other free spirits know they are not alone on this journey. Now that the masks have begun to fall, now that you feel the weight of seeing too much, we need to go deeper, because seeing is not enough. Knowing is not enough. There are many who see the prison and remain in it out of habit. There are many who understand the charade and yet serve it out of fear. But you cannot be one of them. If you are what I say, strong spirit, then your lucidity must become action, courage, choose. But before we continue, I will drag you into the middle of the night, because every awakening passes through darkness. So now, I will not explain any further. I will question you. Yes, I will drag you to the mirror of the soul and force you to look. Hold on. Don't run away. You who call yourself intelligent, how many times have you remained silent for fear of appearing difficult? You who see the emptiness in human relationships, why do you still seek love like an emotional beggar? You who perceive the farce of herd morality, why do you continue to judge yourself by it? You who know that most people don't understand you, why do you still want to be understood? You who have already seen that the promised happiness is a myth, why do you still chase after it like a happy slave? You who understand the manipulation of the masses, why are you still offended by rejection from the group? You who understand the games of the ego, why do you still suffer when your value is not recognized? These questions hurt, don't they? Because they reveal your duplicity. You think like a free person, but you act like a servant. You see with the eyes of a wolf, but you live like a domesticated sheep. You understand the abyss, but you still crawl for crumbs of affection. This is unacceptable. This is cowardice of the spirit. It's time to decide. Either you honor your lucidity with action, or it will become your punishment. Because intelligence that does not become power becomes resentment, and resentment is the poison of the weak. It is the secret cult of the impotent. It is the disease of the soul that understands too much but does not have the courage to change. You cannot continue to be lucid and cowardly. It will destroy you. Society, traveler, wants exactly that, for the lucid to doubt themselves, for the strong to question their strength, for those who are different to seek approval, for the dangerous to become harmless, that the incendiary be tamed with likes, diagnoses, and promises of inclusion, that those who see too much, be silenced, and when they can't, silence them with sweet words. They use diagnoses. You're anxious, you're depressed, you're dysfunctional, you're difficult, but you know what you are. You're a symptom. a symptom that this world is not enough, that values are in ruins, that souls can no longer bear the golden chains of normality. You are the harbinger of the collapse of the lie. That is why they hate you and fear you. But enough whining, enough of seeking explanations for the mediocrity of others, enough of torturing yourself for not fitting in. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to overflow. Do you know why you're smart? Because there is conflict within you. There is friction. There is tension between what you see and what the world pretends to be, and that is a sign of strength. Because only those with depth experience crises. The shallow don't sink, they float on superficialities. But beware, intelligence without instinct is sterility. You have to go beyond the mind. You have to reconnect with your deepest impulses, because society has not only repressed thought, but also instincts. And it is this double repression that makes modern man sick. He does not think boldly, nor does he desire powerfully. He is a pathetic compromise between moral conformity and vital apathy. The intelligence that liberates must also be dumb. It must incorporate chaos, risk, the body, blood. It is not enough to be lucid. One must be ardent. One must desire, believe, create, and for that, thought must dance with instincts. No longer a reason that castrates, but a reason that ignites. Do you know why you suffer so much? Because there is a force inside you wanting to be born and you keep it imprisoned. This force does not fit into pop psychology speeches, nor into the advice of coaches, nor into the promises of the effective market. This force is your uniqueness, your brutality, your sacred chaos. Liberate it, destroy, disobey, be what scares you. Don't seek acceptance anymore, seek intensity. Don't seek peace, seek power. True peace is not the silence of the content, but the harmony of those who have created their own path. The peace of the weak is boredom. The peace of the strong is war music. So, free spirit, enough adaptation, enough giving in, enough of diminishing yourself to fit into the world of others. You were not made to follow, you were made to lead. But before you lead others, lead yourself. Rule your chaos, create your law, be your own legislator. And if you still doubt, go back to the questions. Do you really want to keep pretending? Do you want to be accepted by a world that despises the truth? Do you want to silence your voice, so as not to hurt the ears of the herd? Do you want to live in the shadows when your destiny is to set the world on fire? Wake up now. Wake up with fury, with desire, with disgust for your complacency. You've seen too much to keep crawling, and those who have seen have a duty to rise up. If this blow has hit you, write down, hammer, because only those who dare to break idols deserve to create new gods. Now that the pain of lucidity has been named, that cowardice has been confronted, and that the mirror has shown you the naked face of your duplicity, it is time to talk about what comes next. Because, yes, there is an after, but not for everyone. Only for those who resist collapse, for those who do not crumble under the weight of truth, for those who have the courage not only to see, but to transform. For behold, many awaken, but few create. Many revolt, but few transcend. Many realize they are trapped, but continue to live as conscious slaves. You cannot be one of them. The intelligence that frightens, that disturbs, that deconstructs, that same intelligence now needs to be transmuted. It needs to become creative fire. Because the true strong spirit is not the one who merely denounces, it is the one who builds another world, first within, then without. And for that, traveler, you will need to abandon not only your inherited beliefs, but also the identities you have been given. Because every identity is a mold, and the creator does not fit into any mold. You have been called intense, complex, difficult. You have been told that you think too much, feel too much, complicate too much. But what if I told you that this complexity is your glory? That this too much is what saves you from mediocrity? That it's not your lucidity that needs to be diminished, it's the world that needs to be elevated. Your mistake was believing that your depth was a problem to be corrected, when in fact it's a calling, a sign that you were made for more, to go beyond, to say no to the small life and yes to life in a big way. This pain that burns you is not a disease, is birth. It is your new form wanting to be born. And like all births, it hurts, it tears, it bleeds. But on the other side of the pain is the creator, the one who lives not by repetition, but by invention. The one who not only thinks but transforms. The one who not only questions but builds new values. This is the type of human being that society fears most, and this is what you are called to be. But you will not be if you continue to seek shelter. You will not be if you continue to beg for affection from small minds. You will not be as long as you worry about what others will think. Being a creator requires solitude. It requires self-sufficiency. It requires a type of pride that is not vanity, but non-negotiable certainty. The creator is a lesser God. He does not ask permission. He declares. But to create, you will need to abandon your most cherished masks. Those characters you created for yourself in order to survive. The harmless intellectual, the polite, rebel, the acceptable sensitive. All of these are disguises for your power. Tear them up, burn them, renounce them. Only then can your true form emerge. Do you know what the biggest mistake of intelligent people is? It is using their intelligence to survive rather than to create. They adapt, they negotiate, they camouflage their ideas to be accepted, and in doing so, they corrupt their own souls. They become caricatures. They become eunuchs of the spirit. You cannot be one of them, because your mind is a weapon. It must be used as such. Your intelligence must cease to be a shield and become a spear. It must cease to be defense and become attack. You must learn to hurt with the truth, because there are wounds that liberate. There are cuts that awaken. And only idiots believe that evolution is a smooth process. All real transformation begins with friction, and the creative spirit is pure friction. And then you must ask, but what can I create? Create yourself, create your values, create your ethics, create your aesthetics, create your way of living, loving, thinking, create a life that is worthy of your lucidity. This is harder than building empires, because it requires war against every part of you that still wants to belong to the old world. It requires you to become a stranger in your own home. It requires you to kill the old you, and that hurts like killing a brother, but you must kill, with lucidity, with honor, with determination, because your mission is not to heal society, it is to overcome yourself. Let society rot. It is not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is your unrealized potential, your greatness still contained, your light still trapped in the basement. You have been domesticated to believe that your gifts should be useful, humble, good. Bullshit. Your intelligence is not a gift, it is a burden. It is a fire, and fire that does not burn rots. If you don't use your mind to transcend, it will turn against you. That's what they call anxiety, depression, existential boredom. These are not diseases. They are symptoms of pent-up power. Set yourself free. Set yourself on fire. Build your own altar and burn all your false versions on it. And then, from the fire, the new will emerge, not as an ideal, but as a body, a gesture, a way of being. And yes, you will be rejected. You will be accused. You will be isolated. But you will know, deep down, that you are finally real. And nothing is more powerful than being real in a world of masks. If you are ready to be more than lucid, to be a creator, write down fire, because it is with fire that the spirit is reborn. Now that you have begun to create, to tear away the old fabric of your soul and let the new emerge. Now that the flame has been lit, you must be ready for battle, because every creator burns, but also attracts hunters. The herd, which once looked at you with suspicion, now pursues you with hatred. Society forgives the unhappy conformist, but never the peaceful rebel, because your freedom exposes their prison. You need to understand, the herd is not an amorphous mass of ignorance. It is a defense system, a collective organism trained to identify and neutralize any sign of unauthorized greatness. It sniffs out the exception and attacks it, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. You are the anomaly. You are the mistake. You are the virus. And like any organism, the herd needs to protect itself. It excludes you so it doesn't collapse. But here's the secret that few know. The herd is only strong against those who still want to belong. When you cut the emotional ties to the small world, it loses its power over you. When you stop seeking validation, criticism becomes noise. When you stop begging for recognition, contempt becomes freedom. The greatest prison is emotional. It is not the system that oppresses you. It is your neediness that imprisons you. You still want to be loved by those who do not understand you. You still want to be accepted by those who despise your depth. You still seek ties with those who live on appearances. And as long as that is the case, you will be a slave. The true, free spirit is one who has lost the fear of being alone, because they already have themselves. They are already enough. What's more, they understand that only in true solitude can creation be born. All communion before that is contagion. All partnership before that is escape. But the solitude I speak of is not isolation. It is not resentment. It is royalty. It is an internal throne. It is a no so absolute that it becomes a yes to everything that is yours. It is the absence of noise that allows you to finally hear your own voice, not the voice of the ego, but the voice of destiny. Because you have a destiny, strong spirit, and it is not to be understood. It is not to be happy. It is not to be popular. Your destiny is to be the exception. It is to be a crack. It is to be a rupture. It is to be that which should not have existed, but did anyway, and because of that, it changes everything around you. But this comes at a price, a high price. You will have to kill your last god, the hope of acceptance. Yes, it still lives within you, disguised, hidden, camouflaged, as kindness, compassion, empathy. But make no mistake, as long as your soul still desires to be understood, you will be chained. Free yourself from that too. And then, only then, will you be able to walk among men as a god in disguise, not to be worshipped, but to be invisible and relentless. A spirit that, wherever it goes, awakens, breaks, transforms, even if no one notices. And then you will see that the herd no longer matters. You will not fight it. You will not try to save it. You will not wish to destroy it. It will simply cease to be relevant. You will be on another frequency, another altitude, another reality. But beware of the most subtle trap, that of becoming an enlightened resentful person, the one who woke up but didn't overcome, the one who sees everything but feels only resentment, the one who became a critic of everything, creator of nothing. This is the most pathetic of destinies, the bitterly lucid, the one who lives in denial, of cynicism, of irony, a corpse of consciousness. You weren't made for that. You were made to laugh, to dance, to enjoy your own strength, to sing your own song, even if no one hears it, to love without needing to be loved, to say yes to life, even when it bites. You were made to be Dionysus, not Cain, to celebrate, not to avenge, to fertilize, not destroy. Yes, they will still call you arrogant, cold, insensitive, but you will know that the opposite is true, that your coldness is maturity, that your distance is lucidity, that your silence is superior compassion, the compassion of those who save no one, but inspire everyone to save themselves. You will no longer offer comfort, you will offer challenge. You will no longer give hugs, you will give mirrors. You will not listen to complaints, you will only hear the sound of transformation. And yes, many will leave, but the few who remain will be the real ones, because only those who can withstand your intensity deserve your presence. And that will be your new world, a small but dense world, a lonely but sacred world, a world without applause, but full of meaning. Now look back, see what you left behind, mediocrity, flattery, fear, conformity, see what burned behind you. And now look inside, see what was born, the flame, integrity, the silent greatness. You are someone else, you are new, you are yours. And when they ask you who you are, don't answer. Live in such a way that the question no longer makes sense. If you feel that you have crossed the point of no return, write down, unbreakable. Because there are spirits who, when they break all chains, discover that they were born to fly.